My name is Alex. I'm 34. I live in Austin, Texas, and work as a software architect. Until recently, I was, without exaggeration, the happiest person you could ever meet. And now I'm just trying to piece together what's left of the person named Alex. Lena and I met 10 years ago, in our final year at UCLA. I was studying computer science, she was studying journalism. Fate handed us a classic rom-com scene. Me, a geek always lost in thought, managed to spill my coffee all over her favorite plaid shirt in the campus cafeteria line. While I stammered and tried to apologize, dabbing at the stain with a paper napkin that immediately fell apart, she suddenly laughed. Loudly, sincerely, contagiously. She had huge brown eyes with dancing devils in them, and a mane of unruly light brown hair. In that moment, I was done for. Completely and utterly. Lena wasn't the girl guys would turn their heads for on the street. She was the one you immediately wanted to talk to learn her name, to hear her laugh again. And I succeeded. Our relationship developed like clockwork. We weren't just a couple, we became best friends. We could talk for hours on end, fall asleep in each other's arms watching some old movie, and wake up feeling like one whole entity. After university, there were moves, rented apartments, first joint victories and defeats. 5 years later, when I was firmly established at a large IT company and Lena was writing articles for a local website, I proposed. It wasn't even a question, it was a statement of fact. We both knew it was inevitable and right. The wedding was modest but incredibly heartfelt. We rented a small cabin on Lake Tahoe, inviting only our parents and closest friends. No fancy dress, no obnoxious MC. Just us, nature, a guitar, and the feeling that we had an eternity of happiness ahead of us. We built our lives on a foundation of absolute trust. We had no secrets. We knew each other's phone passwords but never used them. Not because we didn't want to, but because there was no need. Why check on someone you'd trust like yourself? Lena always said, if secrets appear in a relationship, something is wrong. I believed that as sacredly as she did. My career took off. I left my job and started my own small mobile app development studio. Business was great, and I suggested Lena quit her dreary job at the tiny local paper. She had always dreamed of writing a book. A real one, a big one that people would read. I said, honey, focus on your creative work. Providing for the family is my job. We decided she would work on her novel, and I would build our cozy home front. And we built it. We bought a spacious apartment with a city view. Lena furnished it with incredible taste, soft sofas, piles of books on shelves, her watercolor sketches on the walls, candles scenting the air with vanilla and cinnamon. Every morning I woke up to the aroma of freshly brewed coffee she brought me in bed. She always got up earlier just to see me off to work with a long, sweet kiss in the hallway. In the evenings we cooked dinner together, discussed weekend plans, dreamed of trips to Europe, and talked about what we would name our future children. We were planning a family. We even picked a name for our daughter, Sophia. Lena secretly bought tiny pink booties and hid them in her dresser drawer. I knew they were there, pretended I didn't, and smiled to myself. We were waiting for the perfect moment. We wanted to finish the renovation on the house we'd just bought in the suburbs first. The construction was slow. We chose materials ourselves, imagining our children running on the lawn and us grilling barbecue on weekends. I would look at Lena sleeping, at her serene face in the light of the street lamps, and feel such gratitude it took my breath away. I thought, God, I'm so lucky. I'm the happiest man on earth. I was sure it would always be this way. That we were the kind who walk through life hand in hand, grow old together, and die on the same day. Naive, blind, happy idiot. Looking back, I realized the signs were everywhere. But when you're inside a perfect picture, you don't notice the edges starting to fray. The first warning bell rang about 6 months before everything collapsed. Lena, who had always been more of a homebody, preferring a cozy evening with a book to noisy parties, suddenly became interested in social life. She signed up for yoga, then pottery classes, then started going to various literary evenings. At first, I was happy. Great, I thought, she needs inspiration for the book, new experiences. I encouraged her, gave her money for new dresses, said, go, have fun, honey. She'd come home later than usual, excited, smelling of unfamiliar perfume and wine, humming songs I didn't recognize. I'd ask how her evening went, and she'd animatedly tell me about new acquaintances, funny discussions, contemporary poets. I'd listen with half an ear, glad she was happy, mentally drifting back to my code. Then she got a new phone. A new iPhone, and she put a password on it. Said the old one ran out of memory and she needed lots of photos for inspiration. I didn't think much of it. A password. No big deal. But she started placing its screen down. On the coffee table, the kitchen counter, the nightstand. To protect the camera lens from scratches, she'd say. Now I understand. So I wouldn't accidentally see a notification pop up. Our golden retriever, Cooper, who used to sleep with his nose at our feet, was banished from the bedroom. Lena said she suddenly developed an allergy to dog hair. Cooper would sigh offendedly outside the door, and I'd buy her antihistamines. But the worst was the sex. Or rather, the lack of it. More precisely, its mutation. From a bright, passionate act we both needed, it turned into a formality. Once a week, by silent agreement, with closed eyes and a complete lack of emotion. Afterwards, she'd immediately turn to the wall and fall asleep with a stony face. I blamed it on fatigue. On creative block. She often complained the novel was going badly, that she was stuck. I offered help, suggested we go somewhere together to get away, but she'd brush it off. Not now, Alex, I have to finish the chapter, I'm expected. I'm expected. I heard that phrase more and more. She was expected by her editor. Mark, some big-shot literary agent from New York who was supposedly interested in her manuscript. She spoke of him with a new, unfamiliar reverence. Mark thinks the heroine's character needs more depth. Mark suggested reading Donna Tartt. Mark and I were discussing the structure of my novel. I was jealous. I'll admit it, but I was jealous of his intellect, of their spiritual closeness, of her sharing with him what she used to share only with me. I pictured him as a wise, gray-haired elder in a tweed jacket, with an unlit pipe in his teeth, guiding my wife on the righteous path in the world of high literature. I even suggested, let's invite him over if he's ever in Austin. I want to shake the hand of the man helping you so much. Lena gave me a strange look then and said he was very busy, lived in New York, and besides, it wasn't done in their professional circle. I bought it. Like the last naive sucker, I bought it all. Because I trusted. Because I loved. Because I thought our marriage was an unbreachable fortress. I didn't know the walls of that fortress had long been eaten away from the inside, and one slight push was enough to make them crumble, burying everything I held dear under the rubble. It was a Saturday. A clear, sunny morning in Austin. I woke up first, kissed Lena's warm shoulder, pulled on some shorts, and went to the kitchen to make coffee. Cooper wagged his tail happily, demanding breakfast. The sun flooded the kitchen, playing on the polished table surface. Idyllic. I returned to the bedroom with 2 cups of steaming Americano, set them on the nightstand, and reached for my phone to check email. Lena was still asleep. My phone was dead. Damn. Mechanically, I reached for her phone, lying screen down on her nightstand. I wasn't even thinking about what I was doing. Just wanted to quickly check the weather while she slept and put mine on the charger. I picked it up, pressed the unlock button, and then it hit me like a lightning bolt. A notification was on the screen. An SMS. From a contact saved as, Mark, work. The message text was cut off mid-sentence, but I'd read enough. Last night was incredible, baby. I miss your lips. When can I see you again? The world stopped. The coffee in my hand probably went cold, but I felt nothing. I stood in the middle of the bedroom, in the light of that damn sun, staring at the screen. Last night was incredible. Last night? Yesterday? Yesterday she said she was tired and went to bed early while I watched a movie in the living room. I miss your lips. An enormous, icy void opened in my chest. I couldn't feel my legs. I looked at sleeping Lena, at her serene face, at those innocent eyelashes, and saw a stranger. A monster. I don't know how long I stood there. A minute, maybe 10. The silence was broken only by the ticking clock and Cooper's snuffling in the hall. Then Lena stirred, opened her eyes, and seeing me with her phone in my hand, froze. For an instant, her face contorted with genuine terror, which she immediately tried to mask with confusion. "Honey, what are you doing with my phone?" she asked in a sleepy, slightly irritated voice. "Put it down, please." I didn't move. I just stared at her. Only one question circled in my head, which I finally forced out in a voice that sounded like a crow's caw. "Who is Mark really?" She went pale. Instantly. All color drained from her face, leaving only a wax mask. She sat up in bed, clutching the blanket to her like a shield. "What, Mark?" He's my editor, I told you. Her voice wavered. Don't lie to me, I interrupted. My voice was harder now, though everything inside me was screaming. I read the message. Last night was incredible. Don't. Just don't. A pause stretched for an eternity. She looked at me, and I could see thoughts racing behind her eyes, her frantic search for an escape, an excuse, a lie. But there was no room left for lies. Alex, she began quietly. Don't, I repeated. Just answer the question. Who is he? And how long? She covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders shook. She cried. Theatrically, loudly, sobbing. A week ago, I would have rushed to comfort her. I would have destroyed anyone for those tears. But now I stood like a stone statue, watching her. Those tears no longer held power over me. They were fake, like everything for the past 6 months. 6 months, she whispered through her sobs. It's been going on for 6 months. His name is David. He's a photographer. We met at that literary evening. David, not Mark. The editor Mark never existed at all. There was David, a photographer. She had him saved in her phone as Mark, work, in case I ever saw a notification. She had thought of everything. Except one, that I would actually see the message itself. She'd talked and talked, choking on tears, telling me how they met in cafes, hotels, his studio, while I worked, while I believed she was writing her goddamn novel. A novel which, it turned out, didn't exist. There was no novel. There were meetings with her lover. I listened and felt something inside me die. First hope, then love, then respect, then everything. I didn't shout. I didn't break things. I just stood and listened to the confessions of the woman I considered my other half. When she finished, I turned and walked out of the bedroom. I calmly got dressed, took my car keys, my wallet. Cooper looked at me with loyal eyes, wagging his tail, not understanding why his owner was leaving and his mistress was crying. Alex, she screamed after me. Alex, wait, let's talk. I love you. I stopped at the door, without turning around. Her words, I love you, sounded now like the dirtiest curse. I don't know you anymore, I said quietly, and walked out, slamming the door. The next few days were surreal. I lived in a fog. I crashed at my friend Mike's place. Mike, hearing what happened, silently handed me a bottle of whiskey and left me in the guest room. I didn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying scenes of our life in my head, trying to figure out where I went wrong, where I missed it, where I was such a blind idiot. Lena flooded me with messages and calls. At first, they were full of pleading. Come back, let's talk. I made a terrible mistake. I don't know what came over me. Then, when I didn't answer, they turned to anger. You have no right to ignore me. We're married, damn it, we need to work things out. Then tears again. I only love you. David means nothing to me. Lies. All lies. If he meant nothing, why risk your family? Why lie for 6 months? Why look me in the eye every morning and kiss me goodnight, knowing you're going to run off and fuck someone else in a few hours? On the 4th day, I went back to the house. I needed to get some things, documents, and finally, look her in the eye. She was home, crying, haggard, wearing my old t-shirt she used to love sleeping in. Seeing me, she rushed over, trying to hug me. No, I put my hand out, stopping her at arm's length. Don't touch me. Alex, please, she began to babble. I came for my things, I said coldly, walking into the bedroom and opening the closet. And we need to discuss how we're going to divide the property. I've already contacted a lawyer. The word, lawyer, hit her like a slap. She froze. Lawyer? Are you kidding? We can't just get divorced? Over one mistake? I spun around. One mistake? My voice cracked into a yell. The first time in days I'd lost it. 6 months, Lena. 6 months you were fucking around behind my back while I worked, while I provided this goddamn life for you, while I believed in your goddamn novel. You lied to me every minute. That's not a mistake, it's a conscious choice you made over and over. I was confused. She screamed back. I felt bad, lonely. You were always disappearing for work, you were never there for me. It was a low blow. The dirtiest, meanest trick from the How to Justify Cheating playbook. I was never there? I laughed, but it came out horrible. I was home every night. We had dinner together every night. I asked you about your day, about your creative work. I took you on weekends, I bought this apartment, this house, this goddamn car to make you happy. I did everything to make you happy. And you just found yourself an excuse so you wouldn't have to feel guilty. She fell silent, realizing her mistake. Then she said quietly, "I don't want a divorce. I want to save our marriage. I'm willing to work on it. Go to therapy. Whatever you say." I looked at her, at this beautiful woman I once loved, and I realized I felt nothing. No anger, no pain. Only an endless, soul-freezing emptiness. "Too late," I said. "You didn't just kill my trust. You killed the Lena I loved. She's gone, and the old me is gone too. There's nothing left to save." Divorce is a hellish bureaucratic machine that grinds up destinies with soulless efficiency. Meetings with lawyers, discussions of who gets the apartment, who gets the car, who gets Cooper. She wanted to keep the dog. I said, "Cooper stays with me because he's the only member of this family who didn't betray me." She didn't argue. Friends were divided. Some, like Mike, were unconditionally on my side. Others, especially her friends, tried to convince me that marriage is work, that you have to forgive, that everyone makes mistakes. I told them to get lost. Easy to talk about forgiveness when your world hasn't been blown to pieces. I found an apartment. Cold, empty, sterile. At first, I just couldn't stay there. I'd crash at Mike's or just sit in my car and stare into space. Cooper eased the loneliness. He sensed my state and would just put his head on my lap, letting me pet him. Dog therapy. Lena kept writing, not pleading anymore, but with demands and accusations. She wanted to keep the suburban house. I said, "Take it, I have nothing to do there." She wanted compensation because she didn't work while I was building my career. My lawyer said it was standard practice and advised not to fight it to avoid prolonging the process. I agreed to everything. I didn't care. Money, things, square footage, it all lost its value. The hardest part was being alone with my thoughts. At night, lying in the dark, images flooding my mind. Picturing them together. Picturing her looking at him the way she used to look at me. Laughing at his jokes. Letting him touch her. It was torture worse than any hell. About a month after I left, when the divorce papers were already in the works, she showed up at my apartment. Unannounced. Standing on the doorstep of my crappy rental, looking more beautiful than ever. She was wearing that little red dress I used to love so much. Her eyes sparkled, but not from tears. "Hi," she said softly. "Can I come in?" I hesitated, but some stupid, masochistic part of me wanted to see her. Wanted to see if I could feel anything. I let her in. She walked inside, looked around at the depressing decor, and grimaced. "How can you live here? It's awful." "At least it's honest," I replied. "No lies. What do you want, Lena?" She came closer, placed her hands on my chest. She smelled of her familiar perfume, vanilla, and something else that used to drive me wild. "I want you back," she whispered, looking straight into my eyes. "I want to try starting over." I was an idiot. I realized David was just stupidity, a way to feel validated. "You are my family. You are my life. I can't live without you." She leaned in to kiss me. She thought I'd melt. That flesh would overcome reason. But when her lips were almost touching mine, I suddenly realized with terrifying clarity, I didn't want this. Her touch didn't arouse desire, it aroused disgust. I imagined those same lips kissing someone else, those hands caressing another's back, and I almost vomited. I gently but firmly pushed her away. "No," I said. She froze. "What? But, no," I repeated. "You can't just show up, put on a pretty dress, and fix everything. You killed everything that was between us. My love for you died that Saturday morning, and it can't be resurrected." She looked at me in disbelief. She really thought I'd forgive. That passion would prevail, but she was wrong. "You'll regret this," she whispered, and for the first time in a long time, genuine anger flared in her eyes. "You'll end up alone. No one will ever love you like I did." "I hope so," I replied, opening the door for her. "Goodbye, Lena. 2 years have passed. 2 long, hard, but incredibly important years. I won't lie and say it got easy right away. The first 6 months after the divorce, I just existed. Worked like crazy to avoid thinking. Worked out until I was drenched in sweat, so I'd collapse into bed and fall asleep without dreams. Cooper was my only companion on long night walks. I went to therapy. Didn't want to at first. Mike practically forced me. And it helped. I realized I did bear some guilt for what happened, but not for working too much or not paying enough attention. My guilt was in idealizing our relationship. I put Lena on a pedestal and thought she was an extension of me. But she was her own person, with her own issues, weaknesses, and the right to make mistakes. But that right doesn't negate responsibility. I heard that things didn't work out between Lena and David. As soon as he found out she was getting divorced, he bailed. Said he wasn't ready for a serious relationship. What a surprise, right? Now, according to mutual acquaintances, she lives alone, is trying to write a book, a real one this time, and doesn't seem very happy. Honestly, I feel a bit sorry for her, but not enough to go back. I sold my share in the studio to my partner and started a new, smaller, more focused company. I work on projects I actually enjoy. I started traveled all over Asia, went to Iceland, watched the northern lights, and thought about how vast the world is and how much is in it besides that pain. Recently, I met someone. Her name is Emma. She's an architect. She doesn't know the whole story in detail, just the broad strokes. It's easy with her. She's not trying to fill a void, she's just there. I don't know where it will lead. I don't build castles in the air anymore. I just live day by day. I still sometimes wake up at night and feel a chill in my chest. Scars remain forever, but they've stopped bleeding. Now it's just a part of me, part of my story. People ask if I still believe in love after all this. Strangely, yes, I do. But now I know love isn't just rainbows and unicorns. It's a risk. It's daily work. It's the ability to see not only the ideal in a person but also their dark sides, and decide to stay despite them. Or to leave if you're betrayed. I chose to leave, and I don't regret it. To anyone going through something similar, I'll say this: it passes. Not right away, not quickly, but it passes. You won't break. You'll become stronger. And one morning you'll wake up and realize the sun is still shining just as brightly, and your old dog is nudging you with his nose, demanding breakfast and a walk. And life goes on. Thanks for listening, Reddit. Your advice and support once helped me keep from losing my mind. Now I just want to live.